grew up receiving very clear messages about my feelings. You have nothing to cry about. Don't be any trouble. No one wants an emotional girl around. I didn't receive those messages just once. I received them hundreds of times in hundreds of different ways from the people who loved me and were doing the best they knew how to do. And I learned the way all children learn, quickly and completely. I learned that my feelings were inconvenient, that my sensitivity was a liability, that the way to be acceptable, to be loved, to belong, not to be a burden, was to manage what I felt, to contain it, to present a version of myself that was put together and capable, and not too much. And I became very good at it. So good that eventually I didn't just manage my feelings for others, I managed them for myself. The voice that said, "You have nothing to cry about," became my own voice. Internal, automatic, faster than the feeling itself. And slowly, so slowly that I didn't even notice it was happening, I disconnected from my own inner life. I did. But I didn't feel my own life then. Hi, I'm Renee. This is Renee Shanae. I am a spiritual intuitive mentor, guide, writer, living in the southeast of France. I hope if you enjoy this video that you will like and subscribe. And if there's someone in your life who you think could benefit from this message, I hope you will share this video. From a very young age, my guides, my higher self, I refer to them as my spirit guide team. They drop in frequently and give me messages of things that I need to pay attention to in the moment. So it is those messages that I share on this channel as I also work through this My Powerful Year. At the beginning of 2026, I created a theme. I do this every year. I create a theme for the year. And for this year, my theme was the word powerful. And my intention was to live in my personal power in all areas of my life all year long. And with that intention, I sent a signal to my spirit guides that I was ready to take on whatever it was that I needed to work on in order to actually achieve this living in my power. So they have delivered quite a bit throughout this year so far, and we are just in June. Yes. So we'll see where the rest of this year goes. But I hope you will join along if you want to follow along on my journey with my own personal power and try it out for yourself. That would be amazing. I'd love if you join in comments below. Let me know how it's going if you're working on this too. It is quite the journey. Okay, here we go. Now, I know that this is not a story that belongs only to me. It is the story of almost every woman I know, because the messages that taught us to silence the feminine didn't arrive only from our families. They arrived from everywhere. from a culture that values productivity over presence, achievement over feeling, doing over being. From a world that rewarded women for being capable, efficient, together, and felt uncomfortable when we were sad, uncertain, emotional, or needy. Heaven forbid that we need something. From a version of feminism, however well intentioned, that sometimes asked women to become more masculine in order to be taken seriously, to lead like men, to think like men, to build like men, to prove our worth through output and achievement rather than through the very qualities that are uniquely and powerfully feminine. And so we learned to distrust the feminine in ourselves, to see sensitivity as weakness, intuition as unreliable, feelings as obstacles to clear through thinking, receptivity as passivity. We traded our inner knowing for outer approval, and we called that growth. Here's what this programming cost us. Not just our feelings, though it cost us those. It cost us access to the most sophisticated intelligence that we possess. You see, the feminine is not the soft, decorative, lesser half of human experience. It is a complete and sovereign intelligence. It perceives differently than the masculine. It knows things that analytical thinking cannot reach. It receives information through the body, through feeling, through the subtle and the intuitive in ways that no amount of data analysis can replicate. When we silenced the feminine in ourselves, we didn't just stop feeling. We cut ourselves off from a navigation system that was designed specifically for us. And then we wondered why we felt lost, why life felt efficient but not alive, why we were achieving everything on the list and still felt like something essential was missing. What was missing was us, the feminine us, the part of ourselves we had been taught since childhood was too much, too inconvenient, too emotional to be acceptable. It was too much. The work I've been doing this year and for many years before it is the work of returning to the feminine, not abandoning the strength and capability and intelligence that decades of living have built, but integrating it with the part of myself I learned to silence. Learning to trust my feelings as information rather than problems. Learning to receive rather than always produce. Learning to be in my body rather than always living in my head. Learning that the knowing that arrives through intuition and sensation and subtle perception is not less reliable than analytical thinking. It is differently reliable. And for certain kinds of knowing, it is incomparably more so. This is not a rejection of the masculine, far from it. It is a reclamation of the feminine. And it is available to every woman who was taught that her feelings were a problem, that her sensitivity was a liability, that no one wanted an emotional girl around. Because that girl, the one who felt everything, who knew things before she could explain how she knew them, who was connected to something deeper than the surface of life, she didn't disappear. She just went quiet to keep you safe. And she is ready to come home. Okay, let's close out with some questions for you to ponder, take to your journal, your morning shower, your morning commute, wherever you do your best pondering. What messages did you receive growing up about your feelings? And whose voice do you still hear when you feel something you think you shouldn't? Where in your life have you traded your inner knowing for outer approval? And what has that cost you? What would it feel like to stop managing the feminine in yourself and start receiving what it has been trying to tell you? Okay, I'm going to leave it there today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. If you know someone who can benefit from this message, I hope you will share it. And for now, I wish you well and a bientôt.